Hey, what's up? This is Pretty Guardian, and today we're going to be talking about my 5 favorite games from 2021. 2021 for me was a pretty good year as far as games go. Unlike 2020, we saw a lot more releases this year. One of them, which I spent the most of my time on this year, is not going to be mentioned in this video. If you watched my game about scams, then you probably know why. But to jump into my list here, at number 5, we have Tales of Arise. I am a big fan of the Tales of series. Tales of Berseria so far has been my favorite. I loved my girl Velvet, and so I was super excited to try out Tales of Arise. This is a bright, colorful, and overall really engaging anime action RPG style game. Overall, I really enjoyed the story. I thought the graphics were really wonderful. Definitely beautiful open zones to explore and lots to do. It had lots of little side activities like fishing and crafting and things like that in it. And just generally speaking, I thought that the story was well done. It was kind of an allegory for racism. While it maybe didn't capture the nuance that I think it should have, one of the things that it did really well was kind of exploring the topic from a wide variety of perspectives. Not 1 or 2 or 3, but you had lots of different characters that had lots of different perceptions of things. And so in that regard, I thought it was well done. I don't want to get too in depth with it, but the story does kind of get weird as you get closer to the end of the game. And there's a lot of people that speculated that the game ran out of basically their budget kind of towards the end. And I think that when you look at how gameplay changes and you're not really seeing a lot of new enemy types and that sort of thing towards the end, that theory kind of makes sense if it's true, but I don't know. Overall, I think it's a fun game. I wouldn't pay $60 for it if I were you though. Wait until it goes on sale. Next up at number 4 on my list is Yakuza Like a Dragon. The Yakuza series is a long-running action game series. I'm normally not into like straight action games, like brawler type stuff. And so I've kind of stayed away from the series. That in combination with the fact that it's like a more mundane setting, whereas I prefer like science fiction and fantasy and that sort of stuff. It's not something that I've really found myself engaged with. One of my friends said, no, you need to try Yakuza Like a Dragon because as far as RPGs go, they absolutely nail it. So I saw the game on Xbox Game Pass and I was like, you know what? I will give it a shot. And I was not disappointed. It has a great story. I felt like all the characters were really likable. And the way that they kind of adapted the traditional RPG experience into this more mundane setting of Japan, I felt like they did an excellent job with that. And it also had a lot of fun mini games in it as well. I actually found myself like collecting cans and like running dungeons and that sort of stuff and just having a really good time with it. It has a lot of great humor, good graphics. Definitely would recommend this one. I would say that if you could play it on Game Pass or something like that, you should definitely do it. If you get it on sale, that's great. I would actually say that this one is worth full price if that's something that you're comfortable paying. At number 3 on my list is Atelier Liza. So this one I kind of played towards the beginning of the year. I thought it was super cute. I just got to be my cute little alchemist girl and run around my island and craft and gather and just do all kinds of exciting alchemy. What I really enjoyed about the story was kind of 2 aspects. First off, I liked how it focused on the relationships between the characters. The friendships between them were just really cute and really enjoyable for me. And then secondly, I like how she started out with maybe a little bit of talent, but not really a lot of like skill or knowledge in alchemy. And you kind of start small, like you're fighting slimes and you're just gathering basic stuff. But you actually see this really steady line of progression where she is making steadily more and more important things, doing bigger and grander quests, and then eventually basically saving the world. But unlike most RPGs where you're really thrown in on the deep end as far as being the hero, I felt like this progression for her was a lot more natural. And that was an aspect that I really enjoyed in the game. And then, you know, just the colorful, cutesy anime graphics, I was here for it. I don't think that this game is worth $60 though, so definitely pick it up on sale if you can. Right now, I'm waiting for part 2 to go on sale so I can buy it, hopefully soon. At number 2 on my list is the game Edge of Eternity. This is an indie RPG. It took me about 60-ish hours to beat, and overall, I just thought it was amazing. I think that it has really good graphics, a really interesting story, and you could tell that the developers just had so much love for this genre of gaming. Unfortunately, the game didn't sell very well, and to be totally honest, there's a lot of little things as far as like optimization and polish, and certain like animations maybe look stiff or whatever. There is definitely some feedback for this game there, but as far as like a first attempt from a developer that really loves the RPG genre, you can just see so much potential for this game. And so it's one that I'm going to keep watching. They're still updating it. They're still working on the game. I think that it definitely could be something really amazing. And I also thought it was really interesting seeing some comparisons in the storyline for Edge of Eternity, how it kind of has these alien invaders coming to the planet, and comparing that to something like Tales of Arise. I don't think that they necessarily intended to copy Edge of Eternity. The games were probably in development side by side. The people from Tales of Arise probably have no idea who the people from Edge of Eternity are, but I definitely think that there were some parallels in the storylines and the type of gameplay that was present there. And so the fact that a $30 game from an indie studio developed by less than 10 people is even competing in the same field as the $60 game Tales of Arise, I think says a lot. So it's definitely one that I would recommend. I'm going to keep my eye on it and probably revisit it when they're totally done with development someday. And then number 1 on my list is Spellforce 3. So unlike the rest of the list, Spellforce 3 is a real-time strategy game with RPG elements in it. You do get to make your own character and kind of partake in the story from the perspective of that character. You don't really have a lot of like meaningful choices that you get to make as far as like changing the outcome of the game. It's a relatively linear story. But if you like real-time strategy games like StarCraft, Warcraft, those types of games, I think that there's a lot of fun to be had in exploring the maps, building up your bases, getting to experience warfare from the perspective of these different races. And they just did a good job of taking me into this high fantasy world with an engaging storyline. And unlike a lot of the other games that I played, it's also a lot darker in tone. We're talking about like plagues and death and just kind of a darker fantasy experience. But it was very well done and I very much enjoyed it. The environments were absolutely stunning and I just thought it was a great experience overall. I also played their Soul Harvest DLC, which was really good. And they have a Fallen Gods DLC where you get to play as the troll race. And so that's one that I still need to check out and am definitely looking forward to. So just as a couple honorable mentions, I did want to mention Bravely Default 2. I beat that at the beginning of the year. I had a lot of fun with it. It didn't make my list because overall I felt like the story was pretty bare bones for what it should have been. And the graphics, while they had some charm to them in their own way, I just don't think that they were AAA level. And I certainly don't think that it added anything to the game experience. The original Bravely Default definitely had more of an aesthetic to it. And then the other one I wanted to mention was Another Eden, which I think is an absolutely amazing game for the mobile platform. I am absolutely blown away by the fact that it is free. I finally managed to beat the main storyline this year. They're still coming out with new content, new characters and all that sort of stuff, so I don't want to say like unequivocally that I beat it, but I did make it through the main storyline and it was a lot of fun. So shout out to Another Eden. Just to run through my list one more time, at number 5, we have Tales of Arise. Number 4 is Yakuza Like a Dragon. Number 3 is Atelier Liza. Number 2, Edge of Eternity. And number 1, Spellforce 3. So definitely give me a shout out in the comments section. Let me know what you've been playing this year. And I will see you in 2022. Thanks for watching. And until next time, this is Pretty Guardian, logging out.